Stuart, so much has happened since we last saw you. We have so much to discuss. I wish Frank Lampard well last night, Simon, and he came back with, I'll win Simon over eventually. He really did.
Did he?
Chelsea
good
travelled.
Luck to him.
Yeah, good luck to you, Frank. Chelsea travelled to Wolves with Frank Lampard taking charge of Chelsea for the first time again, as I said in the introduction to the show. Before we hear from Frank, what was your take on this news, Stuart? We heard about it. Alex Crook was right in the money the other night. Much in the face of Danny Murphy, who didn't believe him. Frank pitches up at the Chelsea game. There's something in this. Bully might be considering him on an interim basis. Then he does. Then it's announced yesterday, and Alex Crook led the way. But what do you think of it?
Well, firstly, we covered the game. Chelsea done everything bar put the ball in the net. They were really struggling with that side of the game. But I think it's probably, in their eyes, a safe appointment. It looks like till the summer. And no longer. It looks like they've got someone in place, I would suggest, from the outside. And it's someone that the Chelsea fans probably know, they like and respect Frank, you know. So from their point of view, they might see it as a good short-term stopgap. But I would probably turn around and say, if you've got someone else in mind in the summer, just leave Graham Potter in charge. Because I'm not sure what they're really playing for. I don't think they're in Champions League. You know, I don't really see.
Well, I mean, what lies ahead? Various challenges for Frank and Chelsea. Simon, again, before we hear from Frank, what is the scale and level of opportunity in this interim period for Frank?
I would be surprised if the scale of opportunity sort of resonates in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era of being given an opportunity as a result of, you know, a falling apart, chaotic environment, and then perhaps turning it into 3 years of wasted opportunity for Man United. I would be surprised if Frank gets that, but what he does get is an opportunity just to readdress the balance of people's perspective, mine included. Not that mine's particularly relevant to him, but notwithstanding that, dissenting voices that suggest that he wasn't good enough for the job at Chelsea when he was given a budget in the second summer, and ultimately the team wasn't very good and he got outed. The Everton situation, where I do think his contribution, people will say they kept him in the Premier League and that was his ultimate job, but I think if he'd have stayed there, he'd have got him relegated, which was being the polar opposite of what he was brought in to do. So he gets an opportunity to shine. Now, whether the sentiment, I don't know I think there was a divide on the Frank Lampard situation when he was there last time, from those that felt he was very unfairly treated and he was there, Frank, and others that thought, well, actually, I can't see where you're going, and actually, if we're a grown-up football club, we do need to replace you. So this idea that it's a gimme that the Chelsea fans are going to be delighted to see him back. But what you saw from him yesterday in a press conference was someone that's extremely pleased to be back.
Yeah, I thought he spoke very well.
So maybe he's got... maybe the lessons. The one thing about life is if you don't learn lessons, then you're foolish. So if and one thing he is intelligent, and if he's been able to take stock, look back, reflect on the sentiments of where he's been before, who knows? I suspect to the summer, and Frank goes away with a better reputation than he left with.
It's a brilliant opportunity for him because Premier League jobs don't come up on a regular basis. And prior to disappointment, you might turn around and say, where's Frank's next job? And you might say, well, it might have to be the Championship, maybe. But to get one of the top 6 blue chip teams once again, albeit on how long, I don't know.
My resistance, and it's not a personal resistance because Frank is a perfectly pleasant fellow, is I think the elite job should be gotten on merit. This is not a job being gotten on merit.
Even on an interim basis?
Well, no, because the reality of it is Frank's achievements aren't based, from a management point of view, are hugely steeped in merit. So if you're going to go to Stuart's point of view, which is a very salient one, these jobs come around, whether they're interim or not, the bulk of the time they come with managers with huge credentials. I know Di Matteo stepped into that gap, and is the exception that disproves a rule, I suspect. But in most instances, you rock in there, you get someone like Ancelotti comes in for a period of time, or Gus Hiddink, more to the point, or even my old mate Benitez. But in this instance, Frank comes in there because he's Frank Lampard. And because he played for Chelsea, and no other reason.
I think it gives the whole place a shot in the arm, I must admit. I think it galvanises everybody, but that's just me. I see the merit in it, I see the wisdom in it. What did Frank himself think of it all?
It's a pretty easy decision for me. This is my club in terms of my playing career and having coached here before. So I have a lot of emotions and feelings towards the club. I'm also a very practical person, you know, and when you become a manager, you understand that you don't manage your own club, the club that you say is your club forever. And obviously I've been on a different path since I left Chelsea. But to come back in a time where the club have asked me to come and take the role, of course that's the most important thing. but also with a belief that I can come and help the cause in this period to the end of the season. So I'm delighted to get that opportunity, and I want to be, I'm thankful for that, to the people that decided to give me that opportunity. I'm confident in myself. I have a good understanding of the squad. Of course, I've worked with a lot of them before, but also the training ground, the stadium, the fans, what Chelsea fans want, and I'll do my utmost in this period coming to give them what they want with my own hard work.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, I mean, he's desperate, he's passionate about the football club, which is brilliant to see. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here and say, what would your mentalities be if Brendan Rodgers was appointed at this juncture rather than Frank? Would you say that's a better managerial appointment?
Someone who's question.
He's been connected with the club.
No,
he's worked
it's a good
at the
question.
club.
No, because he's in a funk, and he's been in a funk for a year. And the nature of his personality and the nature of the way he's approached his job over the last 12 months, I think, have been remarkably poor. And so I take, as much as I like Brendan Rodgers and have been a leading voice, even discussed Brendan Rodgers perhaps being considered for the England manager's job 6 months ago. But circumstances are different. You don't get to dump a team in the bottom 2 of the Premier League. In my view, if I'm reading the room, potentially say I don't fancy any more of that way, and come away with a mutual consent situation when you're actually probably walking away from the job yourself, and then land in a club that's got different aspirations. Whatever we say about Chelsea's season, they ain't going to want to finish 10th. They're going to want to finish as high up the league as they possibly can, put together some momentum, and get to the point where they might even give themselves a whiff of a chance in the Champions League, albeit tall order.
Simon, take me to the break here, but answer me this. Is there any damage potential here for Frank in having taken this?
No, because there's a sentiment that
so it's a no-brainer.
That's what I said yesterday.
Yeah.
The main beneficiary of this is Frank, but the job itself the main beneficiary of it should be the club. They're the ones to get the main benefit out of it, and all they're doing is holding the line. And so Frank goes in there, and if they don't do very well, it's because Graham Potter made a mess of it. They didn't have a centre forward, and ultimately there was a difficult culture to turn around. If they do well, Frank Lampard is the reason, and that's the outcome. So he has a wonderful sort of reverse zero-sum game.
And he goes to elite manager again if he does well. Imagine if they put out Real Madrid.
No, he doesn't go to elite manager again because he's not in elite manager position at this moment in time.
Yeah. So, Stuart, no one should say, Real Madrid will get through that, because you cannot be sure.
Chelsea's squad is so powerful on paper that if there is an upturn, they've got the credentials to turn around and knock Real Madrid out.
Sure. So he's got the job, and his main priority isn't to turn your head around, Simon. His main priority is to do well with Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Frank has got the job, but he's in there on an interim basis at the moment, as we all know, as he knows. But, and here's the but, if he does excel, what then for Messrs Bowley and Igbali at the top of the football club?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.